Any of you guys? Have any of you guys, like, you're pretty brand new, put an N in the chat if you're pretty brand new to these lives that I do on Tuesdays, which is Shanda On Demand. Oh, so good. I'm checking out the chat. A couple of you guys, put an N in the chat if you're new to the Shanda On Demand lives. So I do 3 of them. So you guys who are brand new, I do 3 of these a month. And the whole vision of this is to actually give back. And whether or not you're in our programs or whether or not you're in our ecosystem, it's a way that I can collapse some of my years in business, which is 15 years now on growing a coaching company. Before that, I did real estate. Before that, I ran nightclubs, which is pretty much running a event every single night. I had to figure out how to start from scratch and fill a nightclub every single night. And it's wild because it's exactly like that. How many of you guys have done events before? Put an E in the chat. You've done events before? Think about how stressful it can be to run events. Sometimes I didn't know this back then, but sometimes the things that you're doing right now are setting you up for the future that you're about to impact people with. Who would have ever guessed that when I ran nightclubs, when I was younger, that really the skill that who are my spiritual people? Put an S, right? You guys okay if I say the word God, right? It's who would have guessed that God would have been preparing me for a career in showing people how to create programs at a glance and how to fill live events, virtual events, all of these things. I never would have guessed that because I never wanted to speak in front of anybody. In fact, my first staff meeting with my nightclub employees, I turned 18 shades of red because I was very embarrassed to talk to a bunch of people who knew more than me. What I didn't know, which was an absolute blind spot, is that really the thing that I was battling with was a leadership battle. And the leadership battle was I don't know enough. It sounds so weak saying these things now. I hate to say it that way, but it's like, I know you guys battle with some of these, and I do too, but it sounds so weak when I hear myself say it. Like, why should we really care if somebody approves us or not? Can I get a yes on that? Like, why should we really care if people approve of us or not? But yet, when I got the job to run a nightclub, I was thinking, oh my gosh, these bartenders have been bartending forever. I've never bartended. I don't know what pour costs are. And you know, that storyline followed me right into the coaching industry. It was like, oh my gosh, like, get up on a stage and do a presentation and make an offer, and what if nobody buys? And like, oh my gosh, my identity's shot. I'm a complete loser mess. I know I'm not the only one who battles with this, but it's absolutely ridiculous for us to live a life where these thoughts either slow us down or stop us from creating what it is that we want. Am I right on this, you guys? Yes. So I have designed some content that I hope is going to support you today. And the content that I have really put together is around these invisible blocks. And they're invisible blocks that everybody has, but you can change them in for new ones, right? Like, you ain't getting away from, you're not getting away from your next limit that you know, the thing that's trying to stop you from going to the next level. It's coming. The next ceiling is coming, and it's because you're growing. But here's the highlighted awareness that I want to bring. If you have been battling with some of the same emotional triggers, patterns, areas that you stop, or let's say here's a deep blind spot, the same type of person keeps coming in your life and destroying it, making it challenging, whether that's in business or in personal life, right? So these are what I'm calling invisible patterns. And if you've been wanting to grow a business, or you've been wanting to grow your finances, or you've been wanting to grow something in your life, and you want to access more freedom, and that freedom, it comes with a cost. We're going to talk about that, right? But if you want to access more freedom and have more choices, then really this is the live that you're going to want to stay till the end. You guys on Zoom with me, when I turn off the live on social, we will go back and forth. So if I say something that you have a question around, write it down. You guys watching me on social media, I will eventually shut off the live, and that will be in about 15 minutes from now. Okay, and so you guys ready? Put yes if you are. You guys ready? Put yes if you are. Okay, we need engagement. I'll just stay sitting and go flat if I don't get some good engagement. So I need some engagement, okay? Okay, so first thing that I want to share with you, and I need some feedback from you. How many of you guys have, and I'm going to call it an invisible limitation, an invisible block, because if you've had it in your life for more than 60 days, there is truly something that is getting in your way from solving it. Okay, so you can break up with as many people as you want and still end up in the same relationship over and over and over again. That's an invisible block, right? Okay, so how many of you guys deal with, you feel really busy? It's like you feel really busy in your life, right? Put a B, come on, don't leave anybody hanging out there. Who feels really, really busy in your life right now? And it's something you've been battling with for a while, right? You've felt busy for quite some time. This is a pattern that you're willing to admit, and you're throwing up the flag saying surrender. There are at least 1 million people on the planet right now that have a busier life than you and somehow don't feel busy. So let's just call a big fat L, lie on this busy energy, but it's a reality in your life, and it's a pattern that you'd like to break. Yes or no? Right? It's a pattern that you want to break, okay? So if you are someone who feels like people intrude on you, like they take advantage of you, they take from you, right? And you are like, I need to set up some boundaries in my life, right? If you need to set up some boundaries in your life because there's takers, you just keep gravitating towards the takers in your life, put a T for taker. And anybody puts a T for taker in your life, it allows me to see if my content is accurate based on the surveys that I'm reading, and I'm bringing the right information for you, okay? So please don't sit and watch. That's about the most selfish thing you could do. Go in the chat and literally just respond. So put a T if you're someone who feels like you really have a habit of, there's a lot of takers in your life and you have to set up boundaries to be able to survive and have like you time. Okay, I'd asked you to put a B in the chat if you're someone who really has been battling with busy, like it just feels busy all the time, and this has been here way too long. Then the last thing is if you're in a situation where usually this is connected with someone you love, so I'll put a heart for love. It could be a love relationship, it could be a family member, it could be a business partner, it could be a coach in your life or a mentor, but you just find yourself, and this is a big level of ownership. You find yourself critical because they just, like, you just can see where people need to improve, right? And it, like, it's a blessing and a curse at the same time. But you find yourself critical because you look at people you love, you look at your husband, your wife, your best friend, whatever, and you just have been locked into this blessing and this curse of just really knowing where, like, you can critically think and know where people need to change, but really you're kind of sick of it. Like it puts you in a mood where you feel like you're just often operating as a critic, and you feel critical and you're almost like, where did I go? Like, where did my happy self go? Right? So if that's you, put a C in the chat if that's you. And that takes a lot of humility and honestly, a lot of courage to put that in, because in your normal life, it's probably not something you want to say to the person that you're critiquing a lot, is to own that because you'd like them to change, right? Okay, so good. So go in the chats and just swing up in the chats and look at the B's for the busy. Look, like actually look in the chats, like look at the C's for the people who are like caught in this, like, I feel like I'm critical a lot because I can see where people need to change, and it drives me nuts. I can't even release myself into happiness because I'm just always seeing what they need to change, right? So C is for you've become a critic in your life and you've lost yourself a bit. Is you're locked into a busy vibration that just has been around for a while. Like the days are busy and you can't seem to get to the other side of it. And T was for people who are takers around you and you feel like, I really got to protect myself with some boundaries, and I'm just riddled with that. So that kind of gives you a recap or a summary of the calls to action I just did to get a good survey. So number one, before I go into the training today, if you are a business owner, what you saw me do right there was actually do a content strategy where I can take that data and I can spend an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours a week and take a day, do my hair, do my makeup, you know, get like 4 different shirts and change my shirts out and create content. Why is that important? And this is not part of today's training. I just don't want to miss this opportunity because some of you guys don't have enough influence. You don't have to become an influencer, but you have to be influential. Okay, so if you go into conversations with people or you feel like people are dead out there and nobody buys, or your family member's dead and they don't listen to you, you know what I mean? You feel like you're not effective in your communication. If you're really owning the responsibility of this, it has so much to do with the fact of just creating content off your head and not actually being empathetic. Okay, so write this down. If you feel that you need to create boundaries in your life right now, write this down. You're actually lacking leadership. The reason why people take from you is they look at you as somebody who is capable. It's actually a honorable, like you know how many people don't go to? Like they're completely invisible to people, and there's people watching right now. You are invisible to people, right? But if you are somebody that feels like that people take from you, it is a compliment that people look at you as a leader, but you are lacking leadership. What does that mean? You are not spending enough time thinking about what is the strategy of my family. What is the strategy of my child's education? Or what is the strategy in my marriage? Well, there was a time in my marriage, for real, that it actually started a month after dating my husband, where I wanted to sit down and goal plan. Well, my husband had never done our leadership program. I didn't own it at the time, so he didn't do my friend's leadership program. And he wouldn't sit. I know exactly where I was because it was so painful. I was sitting on the back of my parents' yacht. Boo-hoo for me, right? But great place to be, shitty emotion to be in, that I'm dating a guy that will not goal set with me, and that's a major value of mine. So now I go into a bit of a pity party, and I'm feeling like, I mean, now if I would have stopped there, here's what my story would have been. The writing was on the wall. He wasn't my guy, but I still married him anyway. I could have that story. Some of you guys have that story. But I did something called style flexing, which I'm not going to get into this. But the part that is relevant for you guys who feel like people take from you, which I've been in that energy where I felt that, it is because you're not leading a strategy. So now what if you try and lead a strategy and people won't take it? Like my boyfriend who became my husband, that won't goal set with me. So how do you get on the same page with somebody who won't sit down and get on the same page with you? So you can apply that same victim story. Every single one of you guys who feel like people take advantage of you, you can apply that victim story to any of those stories. Do you got it? If you're not needing to be right about having to create boundaries for yourself, if you really want to break through around this, because it will make you miserable if you don't, think about this. If you're trying to get on the same page with somebody, or they won't follow your lead, they won't do what you want, right? And so you have to look at, to lead somebody, you have to have a level of empathy, which means that you have to stop thinking about yourself. When I was trying to goal set with my husband, I wasn't thinking about him. I was thinking about me and what I wanted to do in this new relationship and what I wanted to do with our life. And I was actually thinking about me 120 million %. And so what happens is I had to shift my game with my husband, and I had to start, he was my boyfriend at the time. I had to start asking him, I was like, I can choose to create boundaries with this man and be triggered because he wants me to do all the things that he wants me to do. Or I can start empathetically asking him, what is a 10 out of 10 relationship for you as a girlfriend? Okay, so you flip the question. So if you're somebody who feels like people take from you a lot, it is a absolute honor that you are looked at as such a great leader in so many people's eyes. But what's lacking is you actually leading. It's almost like understanding how incredibly important you are, that you need to stop and start leading the conversations, leading the plans, leading. I can already hear some of you like, oh my gosh, that's another thing I got to do. No. It's connected with empathy. And that's connected with the people who are in a battle of feeling like you've lost yourself because you're a little bit critical. You haven't lost yourself. You're critical because you are a great strategist. And the challenge is you've lost your purpose, you've lost your way. And the reason why you feel critical is because of the fact that when you think about the people that you're criticizing to get better, I'm telling you, like, that critical mentality is phenomenal in a marketing strategy if you're on the right purpose. So you guys who feel critical, you've just lost your way. You're missing the understanding of your purpose. Like, what did God put you on this planet to be, if you don't mind me saying that, right? So how do you course correct a critical mind? You get it on purpose. You try and have enough time to critique somebody when you are up to a big enough game. You can't do it. You can't do it. You don't have time to do it. Right? And so if you look at the people around you, instead of trying to change them, why don't you lead a bigger game where you look at them and see where is their perfect place in the plan? Okay, so if you find yourself critical, I'm telling you, like I'm telling you, if you would lead a little differently starting today, stop thinking about how they need to change or what they need to do, or just stop with that. And if they're an addict, they may not be in the plan. Okay, but if they're not an addict and we just have a normal situation, you guys understand what I'm saying? Where you just can't unloop yourself. So what are you doing? Well, when you lack empathy, this pulls into busy. I'm going to tie this together for you. This is going to blow your mind. Okay. When I got this, my leadership shifted in a big way. I got free. I got freedom. Okay. And so how many of you guys have done my hardcore leadership program? Put HCL in the chat. This is going to be an awesome, like, kind of like up level. Okay. So you got busy. All the people who cannot seem to get themselves out from the busy energy, right? You got boundaries. Is boundaries IES? I'm horrible at spelling. See, that's my dyslexia freaks me out. And then you got the critic, right? So the judge. Okay? So when you look at these, busy is an intimacy issue. Boundaries, right? When you look at boundaries, it's all leadership. But boundaries is you're not leading a strategy that people can get into. So start paying attention to all the people who are taking from you. Why don't you put them into a plan? Just try it. The people who take from you constantly, look at, how do I put them into a plan? Well, first you have to come up with one. And then you have to lead that plan by talking about it, because people will stop. They will stop coming to you and like treating you like a pinball machine, right? They'll stop coming to you and treating you like a pinball machine. And if you lead a plan, put a plan in front of them and have them fit into a plan, right? You already know how to do it. That's why they keep coming to you, but you're not sitting down and leading that relationship. And that's why they keep coming back to you, because you're just answering them. Do you get what I'm saying? You're just answering them. And so they're taking from you because you're not actually playing at a 10 out of 10 level and stopping and going, hold on, clearly this person is in front of me because I can help them. So if you want a blessing to open up in your life, then become generous, because all of this is taking energy, because it's all victim energy. And as long as you're in it, you will be right that things are not coming together with you, and you'll probably spread that virus to other people by talking about these annoying things in your life, which will just spread that message throughout the world. Do you guys get what I'm saying? It's not normal to be busy all the time, but it's becoming normal, isn't it? Because that's not a blessing, my friend. And when we spread it with our words, we cast that vision upon other people. You guys picking up what I'm putting down? And so what happens is we create an ecosystem of other friends, family members. That's why generation after generation after generation, we have the same patterns, right? I think I have Holly on here, Dr. Holly Donahue on here. And if you were to ask her, how is diabetes created? Well, how does she fix diabetes? Eating. So is diabetes a genetic scenario? Or is it like busy, you cast a virus onto the rest of your family and they keep eating the same way? Do you hear what I'm saying? If they can, I dated a guy who had diabetes, he was taking shots, and he completely got off all of his insulin, all of his shots by eating totally differently. Okay, and I did it with him and got in great shape. I felt amazing. My vibration was like through the roof, right? So is it that you have to live with an illness, or is it that there was a pattern that was passed down? You all go as far as say a curse that was passed down, that was an invisible block to block us from those next levels of success in our life. Because if you're sick, well, you don't feel like doing a lot, do you? No. Right? I was on the pickleball court the other day with a coach. My butt is so sore, you guys. And I'm on the pickleball court. I've played pickleball quite a few times and never was sore. I work with a coach and all of a sudden I'm sore. Why? Because the coach has me dig deeper. The coach has me squat deeper. The coach has me get into proper position. I did 1 hour with that coach and I'm telling you, I feel like you just ran me through a marathon. I can barely bend over. Okay, my butt is sore in places I didn't know I had muscles inside my butt, right? And I've done squats before, I've done all of that. I've never, ever, ever moved the way that coach made me move. But you know what I noticed? I'm not as quick on my feet as I used to be. That's a blessing to see that, because it means something's getting a stronghold over my life and I need to get faster. How many of you guys want to make money? One of your visions is to make money. Mine loves speed. What does that mean? Every problem, every mistake you make, that's how you get data. How many of you guys are building a business right now on your own? How about my busy people? Or my people that needs to create boundaries. By the way, you're busy too. That's why you feel like you need to create boundaries. You don't have the empathy and the time to sit down and create a plan for somebody who keeps coming to you, because when you're busy, you lack patience. But you think it's because you are an impatient person. You're not. You are not an impatient person. Nobody came on this planet an impatient person. You got developed into an impatient person. Who's picking up what I'm putting down right now? Who's ready to break through that? So my busy people, guess what? If you're not putting up boundaries yet, you just have a bigger bandwidth. But eventually, if you play big enough, you have the courage to set those big goals. So what's going to happen is you're going to get stretched. And when you get stretched, you're going to feel like, I don't have time for you, kids. I don't have time for you, husband. I don't have time for you, mom. Oh my gosh, Thanksgiving's coming up in America. Oh my gosh, and Christmas is coming up. I don't have any time left. I got to get this. You guys feel what I'm saying, right? And so what happens is we start to build in these identities. Busy means intimacy. It means you don't go deep enough. And if you're busy, you don't go deep enough in your relationships. You don't go deep enough in your business strategies. What you do is you try a lot of different things because you're trying to make things work. And what happens is because you keep trying a bunch of things to make them work, you are really stretched. But really what you're hiding from is something that, and I don't know what it is for you. I know a lot of people like to say success or failure, but that's kind of a general expression. What the frick are you hiding from? That if you stop and get intimate and choose one person, one business strategy, one coach, one virtual assistant, one, marketing manager, I don't know, if you commit and you put your time and your money towards something, what are you worried about? And that's the same thing you're worried about in your love relationships, because it's an identity crisis. Not one of you guys should be building a business alone. Do you know how I crossed my first $1 million? Virtual assistant. It was a tech virtual assistant. How many of you guys know I have a virtual assistant company? Right? Why did I create that? Do you think I created that? Now this gone. make some people mad, but I'm gonna say it, okay? So listen to me when I say this. You have been lied to, in my opinion, that your business should feel good. And I'm the girl, like, I'm not going live next week on Shand on Demand. Why? Because I'm taking Flex Week, right? And so last week of the month, I take Flex Week. So I share this with you because, like, I was told, and I was so confused, like, Shanda, like, do something you love. I never loved speaking on stages. I never loved going live in front of an audience. I swear to you, we are lied to so poorly because we think that giving babies should have no pain, birthing businesses should have no pain, relationships are a complete mess if there's pain. There's this lie right now that has been riddled. And by the way, like the fact that now they've taken God out of schools, they now are taking testing out of schools. You know that? Like, let's have no metric on whether or not we're good or not good because we want everybody to be good. Like, this is crazy shit, you guys. You guys hear what I'm saying? Like, this is nuts. At what point do we say that I'm going to make it? It's at the point of intimacy. So if you're somebody right now and you're building a business and you don't have somebody to help you, I don't mean a coach. A coach runs strategy. I mean, you have somebody to set up a registration page. I said to my clients, I've got a bunch of clients that are private clients of mine. And I met with them yesterday. And you know what I said to them? I was like, imagine if you could move at the speed in which you talk. They're like, oh my gosh, I'd be crushing it. Yeah. And I went through each one of my private clients and I said to them, like, where's your strength? So I want you to do this right now. Where's your strength? I'll give you some ideas. This is connected to you guys growing businesses, okay? Is your strength in sales? Put this down. Put sales down on a piece of paper right now. Okay, Tori? Plunk. Sales. Put sales down on a piece of paper. Is your skill on sales? Is your skill on marketing? Marketing is just messaging. It's just relationships. That's it. Maybe you haven't figured out how to connect it, but if you're good at relationships, you're good at talking to people, you're actually great at marketing. Okay, get closer to me. Let me help you. Okay, because you got a superpower in it if you can talk to people. Okay, so are you good at sales? Are you good at marketing? Are you good at tech? Right? Are you good at tech? I'm not. So when I hired a virtual assistant, I got a tech VA. Why? Because if I hired somebody to do anything but tech, I would have not used them appropriately. I needed somebody to set up registration pages for me. I needed somebody to, like, I wrote my emails, but I needed somebody to hold me accountable because I was a great starter and a shitty finisher. Do you see what I'm saying? And so I needed that in my person. You guys hear what I'm saying? So are you good at tech? Are you good at sales? Are you good at marketing? Are you a good visionary? So how do you know that? Do you speak about the future a lot? Do you speak about the future a lot? Just be honest with yourself. Do you speak about the future a lot? Okay. Now, on those 4 different topics, 1 through 10, and I want you to post it in the chats right now. Nobody will know what we're talking about but us, right? Especially you guys on the social platforms. 1 through 10 right now. Rate 10 like you're excellent at it, 1 like you're not. Like, I'm a 1 on tech. I'm still a freaking 1 on tech, and I'm proud of myself for that. Because if I was anything higher than a 1 on tech, then I shouldn't be in front of you right now. Does that make sense? Not at all. Okay. So put in the chat, go your areas, the 4 areas. Vision means you talk about the future. I see you guys putting numbers in the chat, but I want you to put down V for vision, 1 to 10. S, 1 to 10 for sales. M, 1 to 10 for sales. Okay, and T for tech, 1 to 10 for tech. Put it in the chat right now. Go, boom, go. Go, 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 go. Okay, go in the chat right now. Put it in, right? Let me see. There's only a few guys doing this. You guys are writing? Awesome. Now I see it popping. Okay, so it's interesting. There's only a few of you guys putting all of them in, right? A few of you guys putting all of them in. Okay, so now I want you to look at what type of virtual assistant do you need? Do you need a marketing one? Do you need a sales one? Do you need like sales would be copy. So M and S would be copy. right? Copy, strategy, that type of thing. Tech, right? Put that in. Okay, so if you have that person, I want you to send them a text and set up a meeting with them for today. And I want you to organize your thoughts about what needs to happen to be able to support you to have more speed. If you do not have a VA, put VA in the chat right now. If you do not have a VA, put VA in the chat right now. Okay, so if you do not have a VA, you need one. Okay, so hiremypeople.com or my people. Hiremypeople.com or my people. Okay, I think Steven runs that company, is off the charts. Great strategist. He helped build my coaching company at our other company before we did it. But my point is that you can't operate in slow anymore. Do you guys hear what I'm saying? Yes, I see you guys on Instagram. Send me a direct inbox message. Put VA in my direct inbox message, you guys on Instagram or Facebook or YouTube. Send me a message and I will hook you up. But if you go to www.hiremypeople.com, there should be some opportunity to talk to some people there. Tell them, lead them. Okay, let's go back to this. Boundaries. You're the judge or you're too busy. Okay, when you partner with somebody, whether it's a virtual assistant, a business coach, whatever, you need to lead people and tell them what you want to create. So when I look at people who get taken from, I'm telling you, you need to set leadership plans for people. Put people into plans, they'll stop bothering you. Stop being lazy. The reason why you feel like they're taking from you is you're not playing a 10 out of 10 in your leadership. If you're busy, you've got some fear of intimacy. And I'm telling you, the cost of I'm not even talking about slowing down. I'm talking about you have no idea you have commitment issues because you do so much. You think your busy energy is because you handle so much and you don't have a commitment issue. In fact, you're the person that everybody comes to because you get shit done. The problem is that you're not doing things out of a 10 out of 10 and you know it because you have an intimacy issue. And so this avoids your ability to hit the highest level of success. You guys see what I'm saying? Yes, you will feel a little bit unfulfilled in every relationship you're in if you've got busy energy because you don't have the time to go deep. In fact, you're probably a lot more explosive than you like to admit. Okay, if you're sitting in a place where you're judging, you're critiquing people and you feel like, gosh, I've just really lost my happy place. Like I used to be such a happy person. And now I feel like this person came into my life or whatever. And all I can see is how people need to change. Let me share something with you. This is because you've lost your purpose. How do you shift that? Right now, today, I recommend you ask yourself, and this is for everybody who can be affected by this. Ask yourself right now, if you were to say that the goal you're working on today, think about what time is it where you're at right now? The goal that you're working on today, is it something big? Did you do the big priority today? You know what I mean? Like, what's the big priority? Like, you know in your life that you need to close a gap on. Have you worked it? How many hours have you put towards it? Have you been effective in it? Or do you need help? Most people, the reason why they're not hitting big goals is they're in the weeds. And so when you're in the weeds, you are critiquing everything. You are critiquing everything. It's not that you're critical on other people. It's that you've trained your brain to get into the weeds because you're working on trying to get ahead somewhere. And I guarantee you the intention is fantastic. But the challenge is that you're so in the weeds every single day that now everything you look at, you're looking at all the little details. Do you guys hear what I'm saying right now? And so the challenge is the people who are getting critiqued by you are losing their confidence because of you. And if you think your critiquing is going to have them stand up and get off the couch or stand up and do what God called them to do here, it's not going to happen. Okay, because you're actually slowly beating them down. And so I encourage you to get back on purpose. And today, ask yourself, if you cleared your calendar, what would be the thing that you would be working on that has the greatest impact? Where's the someday goal? Someday I'm going to create a content machine. Someday I'm going to like develop an education for children. Someday I'm going to, what is the someday goal? Because what I can tell you is if you're in the weeds, you are also busy. You are also triggered by people. And this entire puppy comes down to planning, intimacy, and commitment. Planning, write that down. Planning, intimacy, and commitment. So how many of you guys feel like you've got a leadership challenge right now? Put an L in the chat. Put an L in chat. How many of you guys are willing to admit you have a commitment challenge right now? You guys are really awesome. It's really awesome to see you do that. Do you know how many people they can't see it? They can't see it. And I'm looking at the chats right now. A lot of people can't see it. So here's the thing. If you look at, you've got a few months left to this year. Okay. I know people have disappointed you. I know things haven't come together. I'm 100% clear that everybody on here has things that have not come together yet. Right? Am I clear? How many guys have had something that have not come together yet? Something important that has not come together yet. Put me in the chat. Put me in the chat. Okay. Look at the chat. Look at the chat. Look at the chat right now. Put me in the chat right now if you've had something in your life not come together this year that's important, that needs to come together. You want it to come together. It's agitating to you. It's a little frustrating to you. Put me in the chat right now. Look at the chat. Okay? So do you want to be pissed off about it or do you want to do something about it? Okay? Here's the truth. The reason why there are things that are undone or the thing that is undone is you didn't get on it fast enough at the beginning of the year. You didn't set a meeting. The meeting didn't happen. You maybe talked about it. You maybe thought about it. You maybe strategized it, but you didn't call a meeting on January 1st, 2nd, 3rd, or 5th of the year. And so you didn't set up your husbands, your wives, your teams, your coaches, whatever. You didn't set up the game to win. And you got into the weeds and you worked or did whatever it is that you did, went on a vacation, right? Whatever it is that you did it. And until you can own it like that, you will be a little agitated. And as long as you're agitated, your words out of your mouth will not impact the same way. They will condemn, they will shame, they will hurt, and people will quit, and people will back away, and people will not be attracted to you. So what do you have to do? You have to re-envision this puppy. You need to re-envision it. The second thing is you need to set a meeting for it. The third thing you need to do is you need to set a follow-through of when will it be completed so that you can rest your mind and get on it. You've got a couple of months left to the year, my friends. The only thing I know, and I'll end on this, that has only ever sabotaged anything great in my life has been my own leadership. And write this down, an emotion gets in the way. When an emotion gets in the way, and sometimes excitement can get in the way, by the way, because it could lead to having a glass of wine and getting demotivated, right? Like some of you guys have that, right? So when an emotion gets in the way, it is exactly the place. Like if you've ever heard me say this, always sell an emotion, don't sell a product. What does that mean? An emotion has a benefit to it, whether it feels good or doesn't feel good. If it doesn't feel good, it might have a benefit of you not having to take action, not having to risk, not having to make a decision on a price point, not having to run a Facebook ad, not having to do an event, not having to go out on a limb, right? So the negative emotions have a payoff too. And it's how you stay stuck. Okay? And the positive emotions have a payoff because the positive emotions can either be driven towards great results and excitement and speed, or they lead towards sabotage. Eating, drinking, doing something that causes you to reduce your energy level so your output changes. Your input is connected to your output. So here's some homework for everybody. Look at 90 days ago. And if you have a journal or you have a calendar, go pull up your calendar 90 days from now, or 90 days back. Look at 90 days and 60 days back. And look at your calendar or look at your journals or look at both. Do this exercise. Another great thing to look at is look at your bank statements. Okay, not to get excited or not excited, but to look at what did I spend my money on. When I was broke, I was spending my money on a BMW X5 car payment, expensive wine, $5, $4, $3 Starbucks, whatever it was back then, right? I was spending my money on those things. I was not taking that money and putting it into, there was no crypto back then, but I wasn't putting it into a slush account. I wasn't putting it into a rainy day account. I didn't have a vision of putting it into investment, but I had a goal of being rich. But when I actually broke down where I spent my money, I wasn't spending my money on a business coach or a peak performance coach. And I had that aha when I was looking for my husband. I was like, oh my gosh, I spent my whole life looking for my husband. And I said I wanted this dream of, 3 kids, a husband, living bi-coastal, going on yachts in like Italy, this was my vision. I mean, this like working with my husband, like all these things, right? And I realized, oh my gosh, I worked and almost forgot to get married and have babies. That's when I hired a relationship coach. And I shared this story today with somebody on my team who just finished Vision of my breakthrough of my Hardcore Leadership program. She just finished Vision. And during Vision, she was sending me messages. She's like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. This is incredible. I'm having all these ahas. And she's like on fire. And now she's a few days out and she's like, I'm exhausted. I'm tired. I'm not sure I can do breakthrough. And I started to laugh. I was like, why? Because she has a time conversation. And when you have a time conversation, when you get far away from the training, you get far away from that person who motivates you, you get far away from a business mastermind, you drop into the same behaviors and patterns. You guys follow me here? So I spent an hour and a half with her this morning at like 7:30 this morning. And I share this with you because I was like, could you imagine if I was too busy? Because I had a shitload of things to do this morning that I did not get to do because she was important to me to sit in front of her. Like I see her as someone that if I pour into, she will make a change, right? And it took an hour and a half before she realized and highlighted all these different areas that she's holding herself back because it's not quite the right time. It's not quite the right time to become business partners with you. I want to finish this up first, put a bow on it. It's not the right time to do this because I don't want to drop a ball. So I'm going to focus on this because I don't want to drop a ball. I said to her, you know how money gets made? Fucking messy. Excuse my language. It's messy. The greatest leaders on the planet, they never quit. They don't say I'm exhausted. They don't say the company's not organized enough. They don't say that somebody's irritating them and they're quitting and they're out. They don't say that you talk to me poorly. That's it. I'm out. That's not what leaders do. Leaders say, I said I was going to pick up this pen. I'm going to pick it up. I said I was going to write on that board. I'm going to write on that board. I said I'm going to run that marathon. I'm going to run that marathon. My triathlete coach broke her arm in Mexico and still rode her freaking stationary. She took her bike and put it on a trainer and put one of those big balls on her, like the big bouncy balls, you guys, that you do sit-ups on. She put it on the handlebars of her stationary bike and she held her arms like this and still did her 30, 40 mile rides in her freaking living room, bored as shit. I know I'm swearing a lot, sorry, but I'm just like, gosh, guys, like, could you imagine if we became so relentless about building a relationship with our grandbabies and not missing their lives, moving close to our children and restoring our relationships, making the monthly income that we said we were going to make, doing the sales calls that we said we were going to do, launching the programs, the products, the services that we said. Do you guys get it? Some people hate it when my energy goes up like this. And I'm like, what does it trigger you on? You know what I mean? Like, who got elevated in their excitement and it was an unsafe environment? Guys, listen to me when I say this. You got to start questioning some of these things, because every week, every day, every month, every year, you realize we are all on this planet right now together, and 2024 is going to be over soon. And it will be a legacy that we remember or we forget. If you have never, ever done my leadership program, I highly recommend you reach out to me. And the reason why I say that to you is because I have one more training in November. Now, this is not, I don't have a sales page. I don't have anything to send you to. That's not my intention in saying that. As I'm speaking to you, just like I spent an hour and a half with somebody on our team this morning, for God's sakes, you're worth it. You're worth it. Your goals are worth it. And when you see yourself triggered, emotionally unstable for some of you guys, or emotionally unavailable, you can't feel anymore, right? Or you're not following through on things. Why would you wait one more day of missing your opportunity to create the results that you want? Do you guys follow me here? So I'll end on this. I broke up with my husband 17 times in one day. Some of you guys know the story. Not proud of it. Not proud of it. Okay, felt a little bit like The Young and the Restless, a soap opera. I'm not proud of it. I don't see myself in that identity. Okay, and I was driving the streets in San Diego and Del Mar Beach, and I'd park and then he'd show up. I don't know if he had some sort of tracking device on me, but apparently he would know where I would choose to go. I must be pretty predictable. But my point is that he would ask me, why do you keep breaking up with me? And I'm like, I don't know. All I know is that you drive me crazy and I can't stand it when you talk about this or you do this or whatever. And what I was doing was I was running away from intimacy, because I figured out how to build a business. I figured out how to get intimate with a message. I figured out how to do surveys. I figured out how to love you for hours as a customer, client, whatever. I figured that out. But you're out here and he was right here. Anybody follow me on this? And I was like, oh my gosh, like this person can hurt me. And I'm pretty certain he will, because I couldn't control his actions. I feminized every man before my husband. I feminized some of you ladies need to hear this. I feminized every man before my husband, and I could not feminize him. He would not allow it. And I share this with you because I don't know what you're battling with, but I know if you could fix it, you would have already fixed it. And I don't know what the cost is. And if you've done HCL, we're already staffed up for this year, but look at next year and go staff. Do you know what I mean? I did that to one of my clients. She hit a mark. She created $1 million business after doing hardcore leadership. She hit a benchmark. When I say everything's leadership, everything's leadership. And she hit a moment where she ended up co-signing for somebody and going multiple $1 million in debt because they fell through on the co-sign, and she was held with the bag. She was held with the debt. It wasn't her debt. And she had a really, really hard time emotionally trying to get out of it. And I couldn't coach her out of it. My words were not strong enough to coach her out of it. Do you get what I'm saying? And so I said, go back and staff, because she'd done HCL. It only took her going through vision, the first 3 days of the workshop, and she popped. And she went, whew. She's never stopped since. That was 2.5 years ago. She's on cloud 9, crushing it. That's a powerful return on investment. You guys get what I'm saying? Yes? So how many of you guys are interested? I'm curious. How many of you guys are interested in going into knowing more about our leadership training? I wish I had somewhere to send you. Put an L for leadership in the chat. Just put an L for leadership in the chat. Social media, when I turn off the lives, unfortunately, I won't see your chats anymore unless it's posted. So you'd have to be more aggressive in reaching out to me. But put an L in the chat. So let me share. I'm going to end this live. I'm going to go to you guys on Zoom so you can just ask me questions. Not about leadership, unless you want to ask me about leadership, but like, I just think when I did this training, I didn't know what I didn't know. And I said this to the woman I spoke to this morning. She goes, I don't have time for more friends. I don't have time for more of this. I'm like, girl, like the time issue, it's going to suck. It's going to go into your babies. It's going to go into everything. Right. Anyway, long story short, I did $170 million in 15 months after doing the leadership training. That's not a promise that you will do that, but I can tell you I certainly did not have a vision for that. But I was so unleashed in my heart, and this is what I don't think the person that I was talking to this morning 100% got this, but I was willing to be courageous, and I said, you're very self-centered. And by the way, you would call her generous, because she is. Right? Or you're very self-centered. You're like all looking at this. I need to put boundaries up in my life. I don't have time for anything more. I'm not certain about these areas in my life, but like ambitious, right? Very, very ambitious. How about you guys, your ambition is fighting with your energy, right? Your ambition is fighting with your energy. That energy could be emotional triggers. It could be like just exhaustion. It could be all of that. Okay, so this was this case, right? And I said, you're stuck in a self-centered conversation. When I stopped thinking about what I wanted, which I handled in the first section of the course, what I wanted, right? But when I understood what I wanted, many of you guys know what you want. Some of you guys don't. Some of you guys don't even know what makes you happy anymore. I get it, been there. Okay. But once you figure out what you want, the whole game of getting what you want is literally transforming your heart so generously, so givingly, so limitless. And this is so hard to grasp because it's not a positive thinking mentality. It's flipping your heart so that you don't feel like any conversation is a waste of your time, that you don't feel the impatientness, which is a lack of empathy, by the way, and intimacy. You don't feel impatient anymore in conversations. You don't feel like you gotta push things or I have enough time. Like all that goes away when your heart opens up to a level of generosity and it's not fearful anymore. And what happens is you start to see strategies in front of you, like I did when I did 170 million, and you start to receive help and advice. It was one piece of advice that one woman gave me that opened up a strategy that I couldn't see. That's the power of coaching. But I probably wouldn't have taken that coaching if I hadn't done the leadership program before I owned it, right? Whole nother story on how I own it now. But I wouldn't have taken that advice. And I scaled to $170 million in 15 months in sold revenue. I created this program out of leadership, this company out of leadership. The only reason why I do Shanda On Demand, because 99% of the time when I come on Shanda On Demand, I used to do it every single day. And before Shanda On Demand, I did Coffee with Shanda at 6 a.m. in the morning. You can go find them on YouTube, Coffees with Shanda. They're good, really good, right? And I did them every day at 6 a.m. because I'd breastfeed my son and then I'd go online. I never monetized any of that. So yes, I'm calling some of you guys forward because November I have a training, and I'm telling you, if you're not in it, you're missing out. If you're battling with any of this stuff, like you can't keep waiting for things to change or better time. You get what I'm saying? Because it's not working out. And so, but my point is 99% of every live I've ever done, I never monetized or made an offer for. I just helped people. How could I possibly have the bandwidth to do that and be a hands-on mom and build out 2 companies and, work on my own leadership at the time, going from 17 times breaking up with somebody to having a 10 out of 10 marriage, right? And walking through my husband's, he did not just propose to me. Do you know how pissed off that made me feel? I'm like, come on, dude, let's go. I'm not around all day. Let's go. I had to use my leadership to take that edge off, to give him the space, because before he did the leadership, he wanted to know for certain this was going to work before he put a ring on it. You get what I'm saying? And I'm going, come on, dude, that's not how life works. And then I had to shift because I needed to exercise empathy to be able to get into relationship because he needed that. And what type of a wife would I be if I can't go and walk through a hard decision for my husband and I make it all about me, or my future husband at the time, and I make it about me? Do you guys hear what I'm saying? I'm hoping you can see yourself in this, because something has to shift in this world. We're afraid of having pain. We're afraid of offending people. We're highly defensive. You know, we're battling about politics. We're battling about gender. We're battling about how each person should raise their children. You know, like, it's just wild. You know what I mean? They're teaching 9-year-olds sex education in school. Yes, I think that's wrong. You know what my son said to me the other day? He said to me, I put him in front, I'll end on this, I promise. I put him in front of red lights, because if you haven't looked at the data, in the next 6 to 8 years, they're saying little boys will be infertile from the plastic, the microplastic. So if you have a little guy and you're not doing something about that, you need to get educated. Okay? Because if you're in their life, you're the adult. Take charge. Okay? They are not the ones making decisions. At 9 years old, and at 12 years old. At 12 years old, I thought the guy I thought was cute at the roller skating rink was going to be my husband. He was 18, I was 12. My mom said, you're not hanging out with him. Thank the frickin' Lord she didn't live in this time when 12-year-olds are making decisions for their parents. You know what I mean? Like, geez, guys, like, it's wild times that we're living in, because now as an adult, you face the same peer pressure that teenagers feel, don't we? As an adult, you face peer pressure again. You never felt that before, did you? You only felt it at school. When you got out, you didn't feel the same pressure. Now we have no empathy for the parents having to deal with all this stuff, because we don't have to deal with it with a certain child. It's like, why don't you just stop and have empathy for a sec? It is peer pressure all the way up now. We've lost our value system, and we're letting other people lead. So I share this with you. I put my son in front of a red light all the time, every week, make his little feet go up, burning the plastics out of him. And he says, but Mom, if microplastics will make me not be able to have a baby, he goes, but I thought babies came from girls. Do I really want the school system to be the first system to tell my child about how babies are made? No way. And by the way, half of the affluent mothers that I know, all pulling their kids out right before next year. Why? Because they're like, I'm going to face the hardship of, I don't know how to educate them. I don't know how to homeschool them. I don't know any of this system. It feels like a big time constraint on me now because I run a business. I'm afraid to do this, but I'm going to frickin' do it because I'm not going to have a school system train my kid on sex education before I do. I'm going to homeschool his purity for a little bit longer. What's your value system? Do you align with mine? Do you have a different value system? Can we get back to a world that we're leaders, that we don't fight because we think differently or we look differently? You know what I mean? Like, let's stop this shit and get educated on how to get over our emotional triggers and be able to create the things that we want to create, whether or not somebody in the room agrees with us or not. So I'm going to end the live on social. I'm sending you guys so much love on social media. Keith, you can go ahead and end the live here. You guys on Zoom, I'm going to hang with you guys a little bit more. And thanks, you guys. I'll be back the first Tuesday of next month on Shanda On Demand.